Sheriff Rob Maciol on the line right now. Sheriff, we seem to talk whenever these horrible stories occur. This shooting in Florida was horrific. Now we're hearing about this deputy that did not go to confront the shooter. This has to not only grab your attention, but I would imagine this angers you.
It certainly angers me. It makes me, sick to my stomach that there was someone who could have stopped the shooter.
Yeah.
But yet he took cover for 4 minutes outside while people were being gunned down inside the building. Just a sad thing. Like I said, makes my stomach turn. And obviously, this guy's no longer a police officer.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate because, would this deputy have been shot and killed also? Who knows? But as we take an oath to protect the people. And part of that is when there is danger, we go into the danger to stop the threat. That's how we are trained. That's how people are trained. You confront the threat, you stop the threat, and you save as many lives as you can. That's our job.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, that's what we're here for. That's what we sign up for. And it's just unfortunate that this happened. It's just there's no words. I mean, I don't know. I mean, people died that day. Kids died that day. Coaches died that day. And this person, if you want to call him that, this person could have stopped that and chose to just take cover for himself. That's unfortunate.
The New York Sheriff's Association is calling for armed resource officers like this guy, unfortunately, but they would not be like this guy.
Right.
Calling for basically police officers in all New York schools. We have several schools in the area who have a police officer on duty, usually right at the entrance.
Yeah.
I believe it costs taxpayers a little more, but guess what? Is it worth it? What's your take on that? And arming teachers is what the president is calling for.
Well, I have a concern about the arming teachers because, number one, teachers' job is to teach. And you take some of your larger school districts where they occasionally deal with other issues, minor issues. But I don't think a teacher has to worry about where their gun is at all times. And again, if there's an active shooter in the building, are we now going to expect the teacher to abandon their children in the classroom to go approach and confront the shooter?
Yeah.
Like I said, I think the teacher's job is to teach. And again, a single point of entry with an armed person at that entry. I mean, here in Oneida County, we have a couple options. The sheriff's office, we have school resource officers in several districts, but we also have special patrol officers. That's a civil service title. Our local school district, Whitesboro School District, actually employs, we have nearly 15 part-time retired peace or police officers working for us, specifically assigned to the Whitesboro School District.
Yeah.
Single point of entry, you walk in and you will greet a person there in a Oneida County Sheriff's Office uniform. They are armed, and it is their job to keep that building safe and secure. So, and that's cheaper than a full-time school resource officer,
right.
But it still comes at a cost. Don't get me wrong, but districts and we have deputies in 6 different school districts in Oneida County, and then obviously Utica has personnel in their schools. Rome has them in their schools. Kirkland has them in Clinton schools. I could go on and on and on.
Yeah.
So, but again, there's many buildings. I mean, you take like the Whitesboro School District. Instead of having one SRO for 7 buildings, they chose to have 7 security folks, 7 special patrol officers. So there's one at every single building.
Wow. Yeah.
Again, and I think that plan was started under the retired superintendent Dave Langone. He and I sat down, put a plan together. The current superintendent has continued to carry that along with their school board. And I just think that's a very proactive way. And again, it comes at a cost, but like you said, how can you put a cost on
it's going to cost you a little more, cost taxpayers a little more. How do you not certainly consider that? I have to ask you, one of the alarming things that came out of this was the fire alarm. It seems that, and it's perplexing when you think about it. What is the solution here? If somebody pulls a fire alarm, whether it's done by someone inside the school that is for nefarious or for constructive reasons, what do? We march kids orderly outside.
Sure.
Do we have to revisit that after this?
Well, I think it's not only after this, but if you look back into the Columbine shooting from decades ago, I think you'll see that was part of their initial plan. when they learned the history of the shooters, was to set off the fire alarm and to shoot students as they were leaving. So it's a tough call because obviously if the building's on fire, you want everybody out. Right. If there's an active shooter in the building, you want everybody, held in place.
Right, right.
So, again, those are things that have to be revisited, and those are things that certainly have to be looked at. And again, with technology today, and there's obviously fire alarm systems are a lot more sensitive. So, I mean, that's a tough call. But again, working together with school officials and law enforcement and folks who, work security issues all the time. I mean, we're always revising plans. I mean, by law here in New York, schools have to have safety plans in place. These plans have to be practiced. It's just sad that, when I was in school and when you were in school, we had a minimum amount of fire drills that you had to do every year. Now, not only do you do that, but you've got to have, your lockdown drills also.
Yeah.
Just to prepare for things. But there's so many other things that school districts can look into. Different types of classroom doors, so the windows are set up where shooters can't see in when kids are past a certain line in the room. Some type of bullet-resistant glass. I mean, we could go on and on and on. There's lots of things that school districts can do to improve and to harden up these targets. But at the same time, every single thing comes with a cost.
Sure, and I have to ask you, who would have thought we'd even be talking about this? What's the from law enforcement? And I'm sure you go to plenty of seminars and we're always learning, right? And you seem like that type of
absolutely
of sheriff that's always out there trying to learn more. What's the psychology of this? I mean, we can pass all of these laws. We can restrict certain guns and certain weapons, but there's a psychology here that is what seems to be at the root of this.
Sure, and again, like this specific shooting, this one was different, So there are experts who are looking at, trying to figure out, and I don't know how much the shooter is talking. But this shooting was different compared to others.
Yeah.
Where is this coming from? And that's what's troublesome for us, because when we think we've figured something out, or we think we figured out a way to change things to make things a little bit better, or change our training, or change our tactics, or then again something different happens. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I mean, I have very little background and training in psychology, psychological issues, but at the same time, I don't know. I mean, it's definitely scary, and you certainly want to make your school as hard of a target as possible, but at the end of the day, you want your kids to enjoy school too.
Sure.
And I can remember taking final exams when I was in school in a summer day, and every door in that school was open, and the leaves were blowing down the hall from the outside. And those days are gone. Those days are totally gone.
Sad. It really is sad. Sheriff Maciol, we appreciate your time. Thanks so much, and we'll talk again soon.
Anytime. Thank you. All right.
Sheriff Rob Maciol. By the way, meanwhile, I mean, I guess a good thing is this kid is still alive, right? So we can interview him. We can find out what, you got to study something like this creature. And interestingly, this kid has an attorney in the United States. There is an attorney. I'm not sure that Congresswoman Tenney learned this in law school, but there's an attorney that is representing this kid. And I'm basing that on the comments she made about Anthony Brindisi's father. But it's not the job every attorney wants, but he has somebody representing him. Congresswoman.